This clip is designed for all those tax practitioners who are manual, and by manual I believe those people who do not have any kind of system that files into SARS on a bulk basis. Statistics indicate that if you use a back office system like Sky Tax, then you are going to save many hours in doing your provisional tax. And I have put a table on the screen which will tell us exactly how we are going to do this. Basically, the table is to indicate the difference if I do my provisional tax manually and if I do it on a product like Sky Tax. Okay, let's work through it, and we'll start with the first item on the table. And if you go onto SARS e-filing, you have to select a taxpayer and then retrieve the RP6 for each one at a time. There is no global or bulk process, whereas on a Sky Tax system you can globally retrieve all the RP6s into Sky Tax and the system will automatically download them. But what you can also do is it provides you with a system that will allow you to manipulate the figure. You can actually discuss it with your client, and then of course when you have done the calculation you can communicate with your clients by sending them email. When it comes to calculating the tax on the SARS e-filing system, you've got to do it one at a time, and in many instances if the taxpayer is over $1 million, or if it's a company, there are no figures. And if it's a company and you put in the basic amount or the figure to be used for the provisional tax calculation, you've got to calculate it outside the system. Whereas on a Sky Tax system, you can calculate the provisional tax globally, and it will be done within minutes depending on the size of your data. So once you've got the figures from the SARS system, you then have to check against what has happened in the past. And one would then have to go to a manual filing system, check what the last assessment is, whereas on a Sky Tax system, you've got everything on the system, and it's just a question of clicking on something. What we do is we produce a difference report, and this will give you all the differences between what SARS says and what you have on your system. It's very important to note that as you are making use of the system, assessments are downloading automatically. On the SARS system, there's no method for checking the difference between what the correct figure is and what SARS says. You actually have to go through a whole lengthy process to find the past. On a Sky system, the difference report is automatically, and we can set a filter that will show you all the differences in an inquiry screen. On the SARS system, you have to calculate your medical credits outside the system. What we do with Sky Tax is that we pull the details, your dependent details, from the last tax return, and we do the calculation based on the current rates. On the SARS system, there is no method of communication with your clients, whereas on a Sky Tax system, you can automatically bulk email all the taxpayers with a sample provisional tax form and a letter set up to your specifications, which itemizes all the risks. Once you have sent out your provisional tax forms, there's no method on the SARS e-filing system to track and control. You've got to keep that tracking and controlling out of the system, maybe in a spreadsheet. Whereas in a SkyTax system, you've got the ability to track and control each aspect when the client agrees, when you've sent it by email, when you've retrieved it, when you've submitted it. On the SARS e-filing system, you've got to then submit each one by one once your client has communicated with you and approved the payment. On a SkyTax system, you can e-file directly from the back office application in bulk. What is important to understand is that on a SkyTax system, you can track and control the whole thing from one screen. On the left-hand side, over here, you've got a list of all your clients over here, and then you've got the statuses, and you can filter on those statuses. Over here, these are the figures that came down from SARS. Over here is the ledger information, and over here is the calculation. So the wonderful thing about this, if I press printer or email, I can produce an RP6 form with all the details, and most important of all, we've got the reference number over here. And then as part of this whole process, I can also produce a letter configured to your firm's requirements with your logo and with the amounts and all the terms and conditions of what your client must do and the risk aspects that your client needs to know. So when you send out emails and a letter, you can make sure that it automatically goes into the documents aspect. You can also store any documents you like together with all the workings. That's basically all I wanted to show you. I hope you have learned something, and as you can judge for yourself, you will see that by making use of the SkyTax system, you are going to save yourself hours and hours of work. We estimate that just on the provisional tax process, you're going to save 40 minutes per taxpayer per run. Thank you for listening to this clip.